Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our live stream on Odyssey. Really happy and grateful to see you here. Honestly, really excited that Instagram keeps blocking us. It shows me that, the work that we're doing here is real and super important, especially today. And I almost feel like it's a reward every single time I'm blocked. Like, I must be doing something right. It's like positive reinforcement, and I love it. And I love that, many of you are coming over to some of these decentralized platforms, such as Signal, and joining us in our group, our daily discussions over there, as well as here weekly for what we call this episode is our high tea. And then, of course, joining Coach Tristan at 5 p.m where he goes live and talks to you guys about the chakras and manifestation and all that cool stuff that you guys really eat up and love. So, yeah, I'm gonna dig into some things today. But before we get started, I want to give a really big thanks to our friends over at After School, as well as um, at Conscious Reminders, because they made us this cup. It was a bit of a Christmas gift and just so beautiful. So our friend at After School, his name is Mark, and he's got a wonderful team, and they do these beautiful designs. And then John, he makes mugs and other things so that you get the reminders every day as you're using daily daily items. You get the daily reminders. I thought it was beautiful. And when I did give him the thank you and let him know that I received it, very well, and that it was, a beautiful reminder in itself, he gave an extra thank you for humanizing him and humanizing the after school team. And I had a little awakening in that moment, or I guess another conscious reminder in itself that it is very important in a day of digitalization. I apologize for my phone is just going crazy here, so I'm going to turn it off. What? Okay, off you go. This way I can focus. Focus, be present with you guys, right? That's what I'm asking from you. I'll give you the same respect back. Yeah, so John said, yeah, thank you for humanizing us. And I had my own conscious reminder in that moment that, yeah, in the digital age, it's really, really important to realize that behind all of these new age companies, that there are real people and real faces, and corporations and industries, there are faces behind that too. Behind a lot of the conspiracies, there are faces behind that. Though I want to be, clear in this that a lot of the big monopolies, a lot of it is very much automated. And when you can get in with some of these smaller businesses, that maybe your neighbor's running, or maybe it's somebody that you like on Instagram, like After School, and maybe it's a conservation, or maybe yourself as a small business, and getting to know your team, give them faces. They're not just employees. Uh, you know, these are real people. And I feel it's very important that we're not giving labels anymore, that instead we're just realizing that we're people, that we're humans, that no matter what, we have these commonalities, there is this such thing as the human condition where nothing's perfect, and so many people today are striving for that. They're striving for the machine. They're striving to I guess to automate their businesses and things. And I think what makes the biggest difference is being authentic and being yourself and expressing yourself creatively, and to also extend a hand and kindness to the other humans around you, to those who are attracted to spending time with you. And the more authentic you can be, the more you're going to attract. And I know Tristan's got some really cool stuff coming up in his Reiki segment today. He'll be working on the third chakra, the willpower chakra, and it's also the happiness chakra. And so I'm sure he'll be getting into some of this stuff too. But you know, I for sure I guess want to share this too, just from myself. and I share what goes on in my daily life too when I'm working away in the DMs. This said, I also want to let you guys know that one of my goals for this new year for 2022 is to reduce my time on Instagram. And they're making it really easy to do since so many of my features get blocked. I remember when I first went professional with my business and, paid the $10,000 it was to work with, a really high level influencer and hire him to be my coach and help me with these things. That, he said just pick one platform. What I chose was Instagram, though. Uh, I did it, I think, out of fear. I was scared to come to these decentralized platforms. There was not as many people and things like that. And the more I was on Instagram, the more I realized, look, I'm liking this for the wrong reasons. It's not quite authentic. And so now that I made this commitment to myself, last year it was getting off of Facebook, and this year it's getting off of Instagram. They're making it really easy for me because they do block these things. Last or I guess it was a couple of years ago when I did first invest into my business coaching and getting that kind of stuff worked out. My DMs were getting blocked. Instagram was, I guess, reading the messages, didn't like some of the stuff that was being said. I was going against some of their guidelines in many ways, I'm sure. And so I found the decentralized platform Signal, where instead of doing DMs on Instagram, I could take, some friends over that were like-minded into that platform, and we created some groups from there, and it's really grown and expanded in beautiful ways, and it's all thanks to you guys too. It wouldn't be growing if it wasn't for you. Of course, it's you guys showing up that makes it all possible. While I am the coach or the coach and the host, it's you guys that make it so much fun and are, it's the peer-to-peer support that makes it all work. And and yeah, you know, now it seems to be that they want to remove a lot of posts. So we back everything up, we bulk everything anyway, and we're able to share it on some of these other platforms and also the lives. But it just so happens that we were working with Odyssey doing this beta for live streaming before they even started blocking that. So again, like it just seems like the universe is really conspiring in our favor here, and that everything I want is really manifesting in a really natural way. And I want to express my gratitude both to you guys showing up and also to the universe here for making it really simple. Instead of feeling like I'm losing, it really feels like I'm winning and on the right track. And yeah, and it's beautiful. And that brings me into some of our subjects that I want to get into today. Though I think it's going to be really, really important that we just ground in a little bit, do a little meditation, and yeah, that way we can get the most of this call. And if you guys want to grab a pen and paper, take some notes too, we'll get into some manifestation stuff and some ways that you guys can invest in yourself and figure out your life a little bit. We're coming into a brand new year. Uh, Winter is really about germinating seeds. I like to think about this much like a garden. That is my heart and soul is in permaculture, creating Eden. When I bring my own purpose back to that one word, it's Eden. Not because of the Christianity around it, but because it's the garden. I just always see green and lush and life. And again, and that's that one word for me, and so when I wrote my book Be the Change, I was learning all these lessons and creating a new foundation for myself through nature's secret messages. And one of the big things that came through is that winter is that time for germinating seeds, not the spring. The spring is when things start to blossom. That's when you can go out and start foraging. I mean, there's some winter foraging too, but you get to forage the sprouts. You get to harden those plants that you were germinating through the season so that you can plant them. Spring is for planting, germinating. That's the time now. That's what now is for. That's what the winter is for. And so I'll guide you through some of that stuff too. But I'll take a sip of my Sunday coffee here, the one day a week. I really enjoy it. And I do it a bit of like a bulletproof coffee too. I use cocoa butter and some mushroom blends, and I make it really, really special. And that way, even though this is our high tea, for me, it's a Sunday coffee. Mm. Right, so I'm gonna go into Buddha position here, crossing my legs. You guys are welcome to do the same, or you can just lay down, get yourself comfortable, whatever it is that you like. Great. So I'm going to invite you guys, bring your hands to prayer pose in the center here. I like to have my thumbs together like this and really get them at the heart center. That way you can roll your shoulders back and raise your heart up as high as it can be. Have that be open. That way you can receive whatever messages are coming, and also easier to release, whatever may be blocking your heart. It really unlocks that. It allows you the opportunity to forgive everybody for everything, all that, allow that resentment or whatever you're feeling that maybe is less than wonderful to just get out, and also opens your heart, like that proverb of God breaks your heart open over and over and over till it stays open so that you can learn to keep it open. The breaks are for you. It's not happening to you, it's for you. And you can get these messages and receive them and what the purpose is behind them when you can do this quick little exercise, rolling your shoulders back, raising your heart up. And when we've got our hands together like this, we're bringing the right and left hemispheres of the brain together so we can really receive all of those messages. All right, now take some breaths here. Nice and slow, in and out through your nose. All right, now I invite you to take the biggest, deepest breath you have all day, all week. Really bring it in here. Fill yourself up. Release. Now I want to do a quick little self-esteem check. So just on your paper in front of you, I am going to just ask that on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being like the shittiest, the worst you've ever felt, and 10 being amazing, the best feeling you've ever felt, that excitement, that happiness, that anticipation, that knowing that everything's good, that peace, that tranquility, 10 being that high, high self. On a scale from 1 to 10, how are you feeling right now? And when you've got that number, just jot it down on a piece of paper. We'll reflect back on this as we go through the rest of our exercises today. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to ask you to do is to jot down 4 feelings. What are 4 feelings you're feeling right now? And I think it's a common misconception that we feel just one thing. And I feel that culture has made us feel like maybe we're crazy if we're feeling too many things at once, laughing and crying at the same time. But the truth is, we feel many emotions, and it's completely normal. This is the human condition to feel many things at once. We have an energy body, with many different emotions flowing through that. And it's just like we have many limbs, right? So it's natural, right, you guys? So when you got those 4 feelings, just jot them down on the piece of paper. Again, I'm going to help you, see the value in this as we move through the rest of our exercises today. Right. When you're ready, you can take another deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. all out. Right, and let's begin. Dive right in here. So I did jot down a few little notes myself of things I wanted to talk about. Another one while we're on it with the social media stuff. I do also want to say thank you to everyone who's been following us on YouTube. I know Odyssey here is the place to be, but one of the things I also love about Odyssey is that they tie into YouTube. So if you're already a YouTube creator and you start an Odyssey account, you can email them and they'll hook you up with a protocol that you can transfer over all of your YouTube videos. So even the old school stuff that you made forever ago will seamlessly come over here to Odyssey and also on a secondary platform called Library, LBRY. It's Library and Odyssey are together, they're a collaborational team. And also any new videos that you put on YouTube will automatically come over here to Odyssey as well. And so this is what we have set up at Elemental Growth. And so what we do is we actually take these live streams and we post them on YouTube where more people hang out. And then it's all backed up here on Odyssey. So if anything's ever taken off of YouTube, it's already backed up here, nice and safe. Plus, we're contributing in this wonderful way where you guys get to download these videos for free on Odyssey. You get them without ads, and also, it's decentralized. It's a beautiful, beautiful backup and the best that we found. Um, so the reason why I'm bringing this to you today is because we hit 30,000 views on YouTube, and I really want to say thank you to you guys for that, and also for the Odyssey team for making sure that all of our content creation is here and safe. And yeah, and I want to thank you for this opportunity as well for letting us go on beta for these live streams, which is very fun and exactly what we were looking for when we set out to find other platforms. So thank you, thank you, thank you. um, Now, it's been a crazy time, right, with the holidays. So many things I want to bring in here today, and I hope I can get it in all within our time period here. Um, I know I got two kids downstairs really waiting to play. So, uh, one of the first things I wanted to talk about was just investing in yourself. This means investing in your education, investing your time, investing finances, investing into self-care and investing into nutrition, investing into all of these things. And the best exercise I can give you for this um, was what's called the circle of life that I learned in nutrition school. The Institute for Integrative Nutrition is world-class school, the largest nutrition school in the entire world. They've been running for around 35 to 40 years now, so very very becoming very well known, but also very up to date. They go into a lot of things. A lot of the founding members are people like David Avocado Wolf, Dr. Andrew Weil, who, is both nutrition expert, but also one of the founders in the whole psychedelic realm. His Harvard Psychedelic Club when it all began with Timothy Leary and Terence McKenna. While not in the Harvard Psychedelic Club, he was in Berkeley. It's they're all that same time, that same culture, and they all went different routes. Dr. Andrew Weil, he went into nutrition and integrative nutrition at that, and it was one of the founding members of the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. One of the reasons why I chose to go there, along with the many stats and amazing alumni and community that's there. They also teach both nutrition and the spirituality around it and many other things that you wouldn't get from any normal education system. It's a beautiful institution, full of amazing people, and they're really there to support you. In fact, they went out of their way to help me as well publish my first book. So I'm a huge advocate for that school. If you want to connect with them or any other alumni, please message me and I'll hook you up with a sample class, whatever it is that you need, answer any questions you have. I also want to share too that this was such a great exercise that my business coach also adapted it and created his own. So this is an activity that I'm going to walk you through that has been adapted by many high-level influencers, and I'm going to share it with you guys here for free today because I feel it's very, very important, especially as we're coming into this new year and the germinating time of the year. So I'm gonna open up my book here so I can completely walk you through it. So, the way that it was taught to me in nutrition school was as the circle of life. And I can even walk you through how to do this one on one if you'd like that. Just send me a message at ashley@elementalgrowth.org and I'll do that with you. Otherwise, tap in, utilize this as a group exercise today. The way that my business coach, Sandra Fryer, I explained it was as the seven spokes, thinking about it as a wheel, and each wheel has spokes, right? And if you are riding around and one spoke, for example, is out of alignment, it's going to be a bumpy ride. But if all your seven spokes are evenly balanced, you're able to ride and coast for a very long period of time. And so it's very important to come back to these seven things in the circle of life. Again, very similar thing. There was uh yeah, it's a little different. Of course it was adapted. I'm just gonna run you through the seven because I think that's where the gold's at. So on your paper today, I'd like you to write down financial, career and business, relationships, health and well-being, hobbies and free time, personal growth, as well as contribution and community. Then when you got them down, I'm going to just run you through, what each means. And as I'm going through, I want you to get in the mindset that you're going to create affirmations around each of these areas. The goal will just be in bullet form as I'm discussing what each one actually means, and what to include. Just do bullet forms, what pops up for you, and later sit down and make affirmations about these. We're very much into affirmations here at Elemental Growth. If you've done any coaching programs with me one-on-one or part of our monthly membership, you know all about this, right? How we create affirmations out of just about everything to make sure that you can easily get to where it is that you want to be. And I feel a little frog in my throat, literally. I've been called to Campbell a lot lately, and I really feel it. A little frog right here, too. Right. So, seven spokes again. Financial. Financial is how much money you want to earn per month, what that actually means as an annual amount, what that would mean as your net worth, meaning, with all of your assets included, minus whatever liabilities there are, taxes, things like that. And it would also include your growth percentile each year following. Second is your career and business. So this is your personal practices, as well as your practice as a leader. A lot of the times you want these two to somewhat go together. Your practices around business are going to be different than your practices around hobbies, though sometimes they are interconnected. I know some people like to do that and some people do not. I, yeah, I do a little bit of both, the integrative person. All right, so that'll be your practice. This also includes your team if you choose to have one. The most successful people do have a team. Like Robert Kawasaki, what he said is, you're only as successful as your team, meaning you can't do anything really alone. It does take many people, though I understand being a single mom and also I started elemental growth on my own. I traveled alone. I did many things alone. So I understand that for some people, including myself, that's where it is that you start. Now I'm grateful I got a team and many more coming to join us. So yeah. So it's been a beautiful thing. I'm happy to see that involvement, and I can tell you if you are on this on your own right now, maybe that's where it starts, but you will get there. So just be patient with yourself. If you want a team, write down how many people that is or what it is that you're looking for. Also write down whatever tech tools you'll be using. That is important too. Not saying automation is the way to go, but it definitely does help having certain tools available, like schedulers, which track the data, hook into your calendar and make things easy peasy for you. Also, how many hours that you want to be working and the location which you want to be working. Tristan did pretty good. I like seeing the plants in here. They're just little babies right now. But he made me some really nice shelves here that I can take care of them. And actually, I think it's going to be very beautiful as they grow up. And you guys get to see that growth process too. All right, so the next one, number 3, is relationships. So this is your close friends, whatever that group is. Maybe you got 5 close friends or 20, you know, whatever it is, whatever that means to you. And also how many times you're going to check in with them. Is it weekly, monthly? Is it seasonally? What do you do together? Also, new connections. Maybe you are an influencer and you want to meet so many new people each week, each month. Get that in there. If you've got kids, you want to talk about that relationship. If you've got a partner or want a partner, that relationship too, what that looks like. Number 4 is health and well-being. So health and well-being will include your exercise, your weight, your body fat ratio, if that matters to you, your nutrition, and general lifestyle as well. So maybe this is your mindset work or your meditation, things like that. You want to get that in here under health and well-being as well. Number 5 is hobbies and free time. So this is kind of the fun one, right? And sometimes, especially for busy entrepreneurs or busy parents or busy anybody, uh, you know, this one can sometimes be left behind. And for others, you know, this is what will dominate all of their time. And I feel that regardless which side of the spectrum you're on, I think it's really important, again, to remember that this is a wheel that's constantly spinning. So it's good to have balance. You have to balance with all the areas of your life. So for hobbies and free time, I want you to know, if you're a traveler, if there's a certain amount of travel that you want to do, write down that stuff. Also, your hobbies and practices in that way, like the fun stuff that really aligns you to your passions. Or you can also write down here, any kind of writing that you do, journaling, anything creative you do. Maybe you're an artist in some way. Maybe it's drawing or painting or ceramics or, anything. Maybe it's martial arts or dance. Maybe that's your creative outlet. So whatever that is, whatever goals you have around that for your hobbies and free time, you can get that down. And then number 6 is your own personal growth. So maybe it's mastering the English language, getting your vocabulary to be more positive, so that as we're spelling, it's with positivity instead of curses. Perhaps it's just increasing your vocabulary, like vocabulary in general, like Eminem, he can communicate with just about anybody. He's mastered that dictionary, and he can change his vocabulary depending on who his audience is, and he's really great with words. There's also people like Terrence McKenna. You know, his voice was very unique, and so sometimes he would repel people with his voice. Other times he'd really attract certain people in, and those specific people, he was again able to talk with all different kinds of classes because of the way his vocabulary was. You know, perhaps for personal growth, it's just communication in general. Oftentimes, I'm speaking with people who are going through social anxiety, and so perhaps communication in general. Also people pleasers. People pleasers like myself had a really hard time communicating. Sometimes we hold things in because we don't like the confrontation, but it's really good to communicate, right? We don't want to be like Chicken Little, scared to talk to his dad. Instead, we want to rise above that and be able to communicate openly regardless, and that doesn't mean repeat the same thing over and over again either. That means consistently evolving that communication. Other things would be education, like reading for personal growth or doing workshops and trainings at specific times of the year. Maybe there's specific people you want to work with, mentors that you want to get to know or learn from. This could all be in here under personal growth as well. And then I would also include the integration work here under personal growth. So if you're working with psychedelics, conscious expanding, medicines or entheogens, I put this in here too, as well as, the integration work in general is, after the experience. There's three parts to every experience, right? There is the preparation, the experience itself, and then there's the integration after. And the integration part, I think, is really important, not only integrating so you have the experience, but integrating following it, integrating those messages and downloads that come from the experience, as well as for the weeks and months, following. Cambo specifically, like coming back to the frog here, Cambo is, one where that medicine's going to stick with you for a very long time. You're going to keep getting those downloads for, you know, even a year or longer afterwards. So really important to be doing that integration work. And of course, that being my specialty, you're welcome to reach out to me, Ashley@elementalgrowth.org, at any time. We can dive into that kind of stuff, what that looks like for you specifically. All right, and lastly here we have contribution and community. So for this one, this would be, any leadership role that you want to be doing. Um, you know, maybe it's a mass public education, maybe it's just being an influencer, or maybe it's influencing influencers. Maybe this is changing the world view, maybe this is conserving land. Perhaps this is donating to a specific cause, donating your time or your money. So whatever that means to you, I just encourage you guys take a couple seconds here. I'm gonna take another sip of my drink here, and you guys just take a couple seconds, couple minutes, and write down some bullets there. All right. Now, once you've got bullets down for these 7 spokes for your wheel of life or circle of life, what I find where the magic actually happens, is when you can take these bullets, the things that you really truly want, and turn them into a powerful affirmation or a power statement. And, you know, so what I personally do is I start out all of my affirmations with I am. I am being the most powerful statement that you can make. This is a real magical statement. That's where it is that you're identifying with, right? So, and words being spells, as I had mentioned before, right? If you're saying, oh, I'm sick, I'm anxious, I'm whatever, these are curses, curses that you're willingly putting on yourself. Unfortunately, doctors are also trained to give curses because the dominator culture does understand this, and they are their board of education. So, we've been conditioned for a very long time around this. So, if we're talking about medical diagnosis here, it's not the doctor's fault. This is how they were trained. Not saying that it's working or right or anything. It's just, I want you to realize that it's not their fault either. And if somebody tells you that you're anxious or something, you still have power to receive that or to expel it. Expel, you get it? Um, so I always like to come back to the affirmations of I am and make sure that I'm saying a lot of I am affirmations, a lot of I am positive affirmations. And when I'm doing this kind of work, or the Trinity text or anything else that we really do here at Elemental Growth, make sure that the spells that we're putting out there for ourselves and for others is very much realistic, and also, on that side of manifestation, the law of attraction for what's good that could be, that will be, even beyond the coulds. All right, so one example I have is, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm easily changing the world view of health and lifestyle through mass public education, investing into the conservation of land across the Americas. So, very powerful and big statement. There are many, many more that I've done the years prior. This is just one example, and so I want to show you what's possible. You take all of those bullets and you turn it into a powerful I am statement. You are whatever follows the I am, you know, and it may take time, it may not be overnight, though let's not rule that out, you know. Anything is possible. What we really strive for here is turning the impossible into the possible, you know. I didn't even know there was such thing as not drinking until I was like mid 20s. It's pretty crazy. I thought that just was life, and then my mind expanded a little bit. I met a friend that was sober and could go out and party and was sober, and that changed everything for me. I got to see that the impossible was possible through one person I attracted in my life at the right time, and that changed everything for me. After that, I did get sober, so it's about getting inspired, staying inspired. It's about using these positive spells on yourself and expelling the negative curses that have been thrust upon us through culture and conditioning. And now let that stuff go and learn how to protect yourself from that. That stuff Tristan is great at doing too. The protection spells, really working with this magic, helping you create alchemy within inside yourself. You know, it's it's the alchemical gold, but it's that weird gold, right? Like, stay gold, pony boy. All right, so that's one activity there. I'm really excited I got to share that with you. I really hope that it helps you move forward with your new year to get the most out of 2022. It's not all about New Year's resolutions, because the truth is most people don't keep them. Only about 8%, and that's only because those 8% actually write them down, and so this is a great way of writing them down and making sure that not only is it uh, written down, but it's written down in a positive way that comes with action steps, that'll help you get those downloads, like Jack Canfield talked about getting the downloads in the shower to be able to write Chicken Noodle Soup for the Soul books. That kind of stuff happens, like Jim Carrey, he said, I'm pretty sure that when he was in the shower, that's how it was that he got the idea to manifest his first $1 million too. So, these things are possible, and this aligns you to that possibility by using these kinds of spells. And yeah, I really encourage you, give it a shot. I hope this helps you. Have faith it will. All right, so that's investing in yourself. The circle of life. I think, there's a few other things that came up. I spent some time with my family. First of all, I'll say, my parents are at my apartment, so I'm spending a lot more time with them in general. Though I also have three brothers, and it's not very often that I get to have everybody in one space, especially, everybody's got their own lives. I moved out of the house really young. I'm the oldest of the four of us and the only girl. And I moved out at 14 years old when, my brothers were like still like little shit disturbers, which I got to hear a lot more about. And it was really cool to hear them as adults be really open with my parents about some of the stuff and a lot of laughter. It was a very beautiful time. And that's what I got to do yesterday was just spend time with my family. And yeah, it was really fun. It was probably like one of my best experiences in a long time, and it was really cool too to see all the kids get together. My parents' grandkids, my brother's kids, and of course Finn just playing, and Anastasia came too, Tristan's daughter. So it was a really cool time. It reminded me of Christmas time when we were all kids hanging out with our cousins, and yeah, and there's not a lot of that these days. And it just felt so good. And some conversations really came up. And I want to say too that before we even had this great experience, as I did with my family yesterday, the night before, Tristan and I stayed up almost all night. I wouldn't say we were arguing, but that we were definitely both in negative state of minds going through a really big release. and and it was very uncomfortable, and we were facing and discussing things and fears that were very uncomfortable and really confrontational too, in a way, because we were very passionate. Like, it was like these things were stirring up inside of us, and the cup finally overflowed, and it overflowed for both of us at the same time. Oftentimes we're really good at keeping the balance where, if one of us is up and the other one's down, we can find balance, and the other way around. And this day we were both kind of like just stirring the pot, and it was just rose and overfilled and got out, and I really appreciated release and realized how much of a reward it is to release, to never hold those things in. Because while I was experiencing stuff with my family, he actually stayed home and went through his own experiences with his parents. And, and it was a good day all the way around for all of us. And I think the reason why we were able to do that and be so appreciative is because that night, the night before we had these experiences with our families, we stayed up late, and we were mad that we were up late because we knew that we'd likely be sleeping in the morning, and we both like to be really productive and up early. And so we were just like, everything was like cycling out of control, and the conversations we were having sucked and like and whatever. But we made it through it, and we were rewarded because we went through hell that way together, and everything got released all at once. That the next day was just, it was like heaven. There were so many rewards that came, so many lessons that came, so much we got to observe. There was so much open space to receive what was manifesting for us, right? Everything's happening for us, not to us. And sometimes it's easy to get in that victim mindset that life's happening to us. Oh, why me? Or why not me? And when we can release all of that and just be open and honest, and instead of always being like that toxic positivity where it's like, we cannot talk about that because it has to be positive. It's like, do you know what? Do you know what is positive? Truth. And if you're not telling the truth, then you're stuffing down that negativity, right? And what we want to do is have an emotional colonic, get it all out so we can fill that space with good. And once we got it out, we were open and able to receive the blessings of our family. But if we had of gone to sleep on time and not discussed any of those things, and we likely would have waken up in a bad mood. We would have been full from that night, and then we wouldn't have been able to receive anything from our family. We would have been like raw, 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 like just punching it out of out of our energy field, and not been able to accept anything, which meant we also wouldn't have accepted the love, that comes from that kind of openness, the lessons, the observations. I had a very clear mind, and I had a really enjoyable time. And I know many other people did too, right? Because we are a fractal of of our family. We're like, if we're feeling badly, that energy is going to spread and be toxic to many other people unless they're really good at protecting themselves. But most people don't. Most people don't know how to do that. And so If one person is not feeling the best, that toxicity spreads. It's almost like the Moana movie, the Mother Nature herself, when her heart was stolen, she had that toxicity run through all of the other islands, killing everything else off. But once the heart was returned to Fiji, she was able to go to sleep and have a rest, and everything bloomed. And that's how I really felt yesterday. And I wanted to share that with you guys. Having three brothers was never an easy thing, having that much masculine energy around, though it was also very fun and very empowering, and it was also able to yeah, I was also able to have many different experiences. That was also kind of isolating, being the only girl. It was also left me always feeling like I was the odd one out. Uh, Yesterday, and I was always treated differently, right? Which just contributed to that, that I was different. My brother, or my parents, I'll say, let's start with this. My parents have been really hard on me lately, saying I want to do van life again. This was an old dream that I had before any lockdowns ever happened. And I really wanted to make it happen. I wanted to drive with Finn to the West Coast, and then all the way down to Panama as far as you could go. And when all the lockdowns happened, I said no to testing. I said no to vaccinations. And that was, I did those things when I was pregnant long ago before any of the coronavirus stuff too. I was always this way. And then when it happened, of course, I stuck with my own boundaries. They were already there. This wasn't a new decision. This was an old decision that I just had to reinforce. And so, I felt like I had to feel that grief and that suffering of having to let go of of seeing the people that I wanted to see that were in all of those states and in those provinces. I had to say goodbye to a lot of community stuff that I enjoyed doing with Finn. I had to say goodbye to that dream. And I renewed that dream last year when I did end up getting my license, getting my car, things like that. I made a lot of different choices that weren't around the van life, but I knew could lead me up to the van life. And then when I fully renewed that dream, and I was like, I think that this is the way to go. I think I want to, you know, leave this city life behind. I was never a city girl, but it served a purpose. I got a lot of certifications in that time, and of course, got closer to my family too. Um, but it wasn't for me. It was temporarily an experience, but not long term by any means. And so I renewed this with my parents, and I let them know, and my mom especially, um, my stepdad as well. They were really not for it, and so I threw out a couple other ideas and things, and they were just very negative and non-responsive and didn't have a lot of good to say at the very least. Some things were said, but they weren't very nice. And the conversation came up a little bit with my brothers there, one brother specifically, and he made it very clear with my parents, who are very receptive to what he has to say. Um, and and what he said was that I'm essentially a social pariah, and that what I need is to be around a community of like-minded people and all these things. And he was able to articulate me in a way to my parents that I've never been able to express. And it felt so good. And together as a family, we were able to come up with next action steps that really reflected who I am as a person, but also, these kinds of dreams I've had for a very long time. And to even skip some of the steps, it was a very beautiful thing that was very much in the making for a long time. And I just wanted to share that with you guys. I don't know. I guess is a way to not only say thank you, but to show you guys what's possible. It's not easy being with your family, but there's a lot of value there if you can move past it. There's a new movie available on Disney right now called Encanto, and it's about a Colombian family that has magic, and this one sister did not have the magic. She or so was thought, and and she's being blamed for even taking the magic away. She was the one that was left out. And the truth is, what she was meant to do was bring the family together because the magic was being lost. And she just had a weird way of reflecting that because she didn't understand her own powers. And she was able to bring that back and bring the family together and make the magic stronger and make the family stronger. And and I think it would be a great resource for anybody who's going through family stuff, to be able to, take some lessons from that, and hopefully be able to take some lessons from this story here today. That it's not easy. Like, it's simple, but it's not easy, you know. But it's worth doing. It's worth, getting out of your comfort zone and doing the uncomfortable. It's worth it, you guys. Because there is magic there. There is magic in family. Your parents are your parents for a reason. Your siblings are your siblings for a reason. That doesn't mean be in toxic relationships. What it means instead is to move beyond the toxicity, to face it, to feel it, free it, to face it and free it, to move beyond what is seen on the surface into the depths of where that love and forgiveness truly is, right? Like when we started today, our shoulders back, our heart open so that we can forgive, so we can open space. And yeah, and I hope that this helps you in a lot of ways. Another conversation that really came up a lot lately, in general, but also with my family, because all three of my brothers are vaccinated. I'm the only one who's not, right? And I've lost a lot of friends, different people from different jobs that I've done and connections that I've made because of my views around this. And, I feel I'm pretty tactful in the way that I share my views, though, you know, if my views are different from some people sometimes, people just want to walk away anyway, and that's their human right. I'm not here to say don't do that. Do whatever it is that you feel is right for you, and also allow yourself to be open and allow yourself to change as we do naturally. Um, but these conversations come up, and I've lost a lot of people because of these views. Thankfully, I didn't lose my family. Thankfully, we can have conversations openly about these things because we are so diverse. We're diverse in color. Myself being French and Native American, Ojibwe Mi'kmaq is very much in my bloodline. My mom being Native American. My stepdad, he is not Hungarian, Armenian. Yeah, somewhere somewhere around there. And so most of us are of color but not dark color. We also have an African American, or I have an African American niece, and so Native, African American, European, French being European as well. Maybe that's it, but maybe not. I'm not sure. But regardless, we're very diverse in color, you know, and we're also very diverse when it comes to the new race of vaccinated, unvaccinated. And we were able to really come together and have some beautiful conversations last night about these things, hearing everybody's opinion, really being open to listening to both sides of everything. And I think this is what's helped us to stay above the mass psychosis and above the mass anxiety that's going on, the collective anxiety, right? Anxiety being thinking into the future instead of being present in the moment, right? And the collective anxiety really comes from the dominating culture not allowing us to see that future because things keep changing. I mean, I see that the pattern is just repeating itself, that there's not essentially a lot of change coming, but most people are seeing it as like, oh, we can't make decisions because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. And it's all like the mass. the psychosis. This is what the dominator culture, as far as I'm concerned, really wants, is this confusion. It wants to take our power away, and these are some ways that are doing it, by having people in this anxious state where they cannot predict their own future, where their third eye becomes blocked and they can't see anything, right? This has been happening with fluorinated water too, blocking that third eye, so we don't no longer have a vision of our own, so we can no longer use our imagination to create and manifest and use our own magic. There's they're they're giving us opportunities to give our magic away. The victim mindset would say taking it away, but I see it as a choice, as a responsibility to hold on to that, to cultivate more of it, or to release it, that is a choice. And so we were all able to come together and have some of these conversations. And yeah, and I invite you guys to reach out to a friend or family that's of opposite opinion, and just be open to what they have to say this week, and just see how that conversation flows in with, like, even in the circle. I'm doing this, so like obviously I'm seeing it as like, both sides coming together, because I think it's very important. I think one of the reasons why the dominating culture wants us divided by vaccinated and non-vaccinated today, or by science and spirit, is because it wasn't working with races anymore, because we're all mutts. So many families are interracial now. There's been so much through tourism, through immigration, that one dominant race is not really there anymore. So now this is another way to divide classes, right? There's not even a middle class really anymore. You're either very wealthy or you're on the poverty scale. And yeah, so there's a lot of division going on. I feel it's very, very important that we stick together in these times when dominating culture wants us to be divided, to stick together, to come together in new ways, create new, use that third eye of yours and create something new, create something that you want, not what dominating culture is telling you is there, not what the media is telling you is happening. Create what you want. Not what your coach is telling you want. Create what you want. You have the power, guys. You got the power, people. I love you all so much. I'm going to tune off for now. Go hang out with those beautiful kids I got waiting for me downstairs. I love you all so much. Cheers. Thanks for joining me for high tea.